Hey! Checking the thermostat outside here at Vidane TV HQ. It is a cool, crisp 9 degrees outside. A little bit warmer down there in Homestead, Miami Speedway, where we are going to be watching a championship race here for the Loose Lugz Championship. 4 drivers in the hunt for that championship rather. And we can see the guy coming in with all the momentum, walking into Homestead Miami Speedway with the buffest swag. Kenny Capola in that 77 car going to start on the pole here this evening. There you see Boyles up there as well. He's up in the championship hunt as well. Douthwaite is up there as well. And 4 drivers getting ready to fight for this championship trophy. Showtime Paul Strickland Jr. joined by Jeff Brown in the booth. We got 125 laps, 200 miles here at Homestead Miami. And the cars are starting to roll off of pit lane.
Yeah, Paul, this is going to be a fun one. It's a 1.5 mile track, but it's got a different character, a little bit different touch than than the other tracks we've been to in the Final Four here. We had Talladega, the legendary Super Speedway. We had the little short track confines in Nashville. We had Las Vegas, but now we're on to a 1.5 mile track that drives like few others. It's a track where you try to ride the outside wall. It's a little bit abrasive. It's got that nice coastal pavement to it. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
There you can see championship caliber drivers. There's Douthwaite. There's Kenny Capola before that. There's Douthwaite in the 34 car. Ed Boyles in the 5, the Hendrick Motorsports team. All the way back towards the back of the pack, you see Wayne Bowen in the 15th position. Got 15 cars he's got to pass to get himself up towards the front. Everybody knows the rule. One championship. Everybody knows the rules. 4 drivers out here at Homestead, Miami. The driver that finishes the best wins that trophy. Spire Motorsports on the front row. Kenny Capola with his teammate Chris Spire up there on the outside. Wayne Putmer, Dave Douthwaite, Jimmy Absher in the 18 car, the top 5, and we are green flag racing lap 1 here at Homestead.
Yeah, you can see the field as they're taking off into turn 1 there, and Capola's got an excellent advantage off the start. It's whoever comes out here, highest points come away with the win, and it's probably going to take a win in tonight's race. We've seen this in the NASCAR Championship. We're going to see it tonight in the Loose Lugz. Whoever comes out on top of this race is probably going to go home with a big trophy to match that race win here.
Kenny Capola picking up from where he left off. The momentum absolutely in the side of the 77 car. You can see he's got himself about a 1/6 of a 10-second lead over teammate Chris Spear. Dave Douthwaite, the next championship contender, with Ed Boyles right in behind him. You can see he's got that yellow spoiler, yellow windshield banner with his last name on top of it. The Valhalla Project number 34 right in front of the Hendrick Motorsports, or the Hendrick Cars number, HendrickCars.com, number 5, easy enough for me to say. Wayne Bowen already up a couple of spots there in the 11 car, up to 13th, but still has quite a way to go.
Yeah, Douthwaite punched his ticket early in the session. He won at Talladega. That moved him right into the Final Four. He's kind of cooled his heels the last few weeks, but here he sits 3rd, and he's got a good shot to win tonight. There's really no way to count anybody out. We're looking at Bowen as he's kind of hanging out in the back right now, running about 13th, just kind of biding his time, waiting for early things to shake out. It's a 125-lap race. There's a lot of time for things to go haywire here.
Bouncing around the field, taking a look at some of the shots, brought to you by TrackCams22.com, custom iRacing cameras for your pleasure. 24 car getting a little bit loose, pulling it down onto the apron, and he gets it straightened back out. We stay clean and green. A little bit of a slip up there for Wade Palmer the 5th, but we keep on rolling. Kenny Capola up front, in front of his teammate by a little bit better than a half a second. And then it's about another second back to the Douthwaite Boyles team, or Tango rather, not really a team, but driving together. Ken Ellert right in behind them. And kind of looking back through the field here, Jeff, it looks like everybody's kind of gotten single file, a little bit spread out here at Homestead, Miami. It is a 1.5 mile racetrack, but it drives very, very differently, very unique driving style here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, host to a lot of championship races over the years in the NASCAR circuit, as well as a lot of the sim racing championships and many of the different simulators and games over the past years as well. And no difference here tonight. Working lap number 5, championship night here for the Loose Lugz Cup Series. Going to find ourselves a champion, and Kenny Capola doing everything he can, doing what he needs to do, leading this race as we come to the start-finish line to complete lap number 5.
Absolutely. This is a track, we talked about track layout. It's a little bit different from your standard cookie cutter. Just to go back in the history books a little bit, the traditional oval shape, of course, got supplanted in the late 90s when there was a rash of track building. But Homestead Miami Speedway is always a little bit different. The original layout here was modeled after the Brickyard, after Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was a quad oval that after events in 1997, they reconfigured the track into the more traditional oval layout we know today. They got some banking on it from the original flat aspect of the track, and now it's a track we know and love today. Like you said it yourself, this has been a great place for championship finales over the years. A track that really levels out the equipment aspect of things and hands it to the driver. And here we see the drivers doing exactly what they've done all season. We've got Coppola up in the front. We've got Douthwaite in third. We've got Boyles in fourth. We've got Bowen still biding his time back in 11th. But it's a long race. It's just a matter of trying to figure out the strategy, plan those pit stops, and see what you can do to get your way to the front.
Wayne Bowen winning the last race at Las Vegas, a last chance qualifier 150 to lock himself into tonight's show. Has a little bit of ground to make up, but he's doing everything he can, already up 4 spots on the night, running in that 11th position. And you can see some action all the way across the track. Here's a little bit of a battle for just outside that top 10. And there you see Wayne Bowen in the top 10 now, in that 10th position, just getting around Bobby Justice in the 2 car. And we do got to talk about Ed Boyles Jr., one of the championship contenders here, running up in the 4th position. Just came home with a little bit of hardware himself, winning the Lugz Racing Truck Series Championship this past week. So congratulations to Ed Boyles and the 38 truck team. He's going to try and make it back-to-back twofer here in Season 2 with the Lugz Cup Series.
That's great. A lot of these leagues here give every driver a chance to compete on a couple different levels. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you get an opportunity to feel things out in a different car. Get some drivers cater to one car differently. They bond with one car differently from how they bond with another. And it's a good opportunity to see, a good opportunity to test talent. Here, Bowen's moved up to 9th now, so he's starting to close in on that pack, but he's still about 7 seconds back of the leader right now.
It's one of those deals where you don't really want to expect a caution. You want to try and get things taken care of without any other outside interference, but sometimes that's what you need for a caution here to bunch this 17-car field back up and see what you can do on a restart. But up front, still Spire Motorsports 1 and 2. Coppola and Spear holding on to those spots. Dave Douthwaite moving up just a little bit, closing the gap between he and the second-place driver of Chris Spear, but when you're Kenny Coppola, that's exactly what you want to see. Clean air in front of the car, clean air behind you, and you got your teammate back there to not necessarily throw a block, but to kind of help you out if you need to.
Absolutely. Coppola came away with a win at Nashville, and he hasn't really pushed the issue in the last 2 races, but he's been far and away the season favorite. Last half of the season, he really came on strong with a lot of checkered flags, a lot of time up front. Here he is running first. He's got his teammate Spear behind him, and he's got a pretty good advantage over third. This is where he wants to be. He wants to be in the catbird seat. He doesn't want to have to be chasing. At this point, you just want to run away from it.
And running away from it, he is 7.5 of a second, 3/4 of a second over teammate Chris Spear, and picking up the laps, putting him down, having a nice smooth race. There you can see the lead between first and second, and a little bit further on back to 3rd place, David Douthwaite. And Chris Spear right now in the lead of the drivers that are outside of the championship contenders. Still have that Bounty Hunter Challenge. It's up to $130. Any of the drivers outside of the top 4 in the championship contention, if they come home with the victory tonight, they get that cool $130 courtesy of the Lugz Cup Series. And that's one of those things. Maybe you get some team orders where Coppola kind of backs down to second. Spear comes home with the cash. You split it, get a little beer money. I don't think so. Kenny Coppola, very, very competitive. Has a number of wins on the season. Wants to come home with one more.
Yeah, it's all, team orders are fun, and it sounds great to be able to put your teammate in that position. But at the end of the day, boy, it's hard to turn down a win.
100%, and doing everything in his power right now to hold on to it. You can see the lead stretching out just a little bit more. Chris Spear now 1.2 seconds behind his teammate there in the lead, and still a little bit of a gap back to Douthwaite in that 3rd position. Ed Boyles slipping back just a little bit. A lot of give and take here at this point. Here's a little side-by-side action. Tim Wartman Jr., currently the 5th place driver in points after starting tonight. He locks that position in, so he's going to be the 5th place driver. Ken Ellert a little bit slow in the McDonald's number 23 team, 23 car. But how about that high side car there? 8 spots gained so far in 15 laps. Wayne Bowen and that Joe Gibbs Racing machine, the FedEx ride, looking very, very sporty. He's going to go down below his teammate here, Jimmy Absher, picked that spot up. Now set his sights on the 00 of Tim Wartman Jr.
Yeah, Bowen was one. He looked like he had Nashville all sealed up. Got taken out late in the race. Incidental contact, but it still took him out of contention for that win. Left him with a pretty poor finish compared to what he expected to get that night. He came back, roared into victory lane in Las Vegas, and he pretty much called his shot. He was going to be one to beat. Looks like he had some trouble in qualifying, didn't complete a lap, but here he is moving right up through the field. I mean, at this point, you're also starting to worry about tires. I mean, there is going to be some tire fall off. You're gambling on when these teams are going to have to come in pit and how early you're going to want to make a pit off sequence.
Wayne Bowen getting around the 00, Tim Wartman Jr. for that 5th spot. All 4 championship drivers up in the top 5. Kenny Capola in the lead. Dave Douthwaite, Ed Boyles Jr., Wayne Bowen, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're broken up by Spire Motorsports' own number 7 driver, Chris Spear, and you can see he's starting to get a little bit of a mirror full now of that 34 car. Dave Douthwaite starting to close in just a little bit on the back bumper of Chris Spear. Ed Boyles closing it up as well, just a little bit. Wayne Bowen trying to get a piece of the action as well, trying to kind of accordion all 5 of these cars back up. As you can see, Boyles taking it down low on Douthwaite, trying to get that position from him, trying to move himself up into 3rd. But how about that gap between Kenny Capola and 2nd place Chris Spear? 2.5 seconds and climbing.
And Bowen's got quite the gap himself. He's about 7 seconds back of the lead right now. But in fairness to him, he really hasn't dropped off the pace he was setting a few laps back. This is where we're going to start to see those tires wear in. We're going to start to see some lap times fall. Kenny's pulling away from the front pack, but is he testing those tires? Is he burning up his equipment to get that lead, build that lead early, and then just kind of hang on?
And we've seen that strategy from Capola many, many times, coming home with 5 victories, I believe, on the season so far here in season number 2 for the Lugz Cup Series. And we made mention all 4 championship contenders riding around in the top 5. And you can see that ticker just keeps clicking them off. Somebody's been eating their Wheaties, drinking their Sasquatch juice, and doing all the practice laps they can. Has a bad setup under that race car, and he's just pulling away. You can't even see him out here. There he is, heading on down into the sunset here. Almost under the lights here at Homestead. Getting a little bit dark down here in Miami, and we got lights around the racetrack, so we're going to be sticking with you until this thing's over with.
Yeah, Coppola's setting a blistering pace right now. I mean, he's 3.1 seconds ahead of 2nd place teammate Chris Spear. Ed Boyles slipped up into 3rd, so he's kind of stalking there. Chris Spear not in the championship race, but like you said, he's still got that opportunity to seize that bounty money if he can pick up on a possible pit gaff or something along those lines for Kenny.
There you can see the difference between the teammates. More than likely have a similar setup in the underneath the race car there. About 0.3 of a second, half a second. So Kenny Capola really able to make this thing work for him. Put in the work, put in the hours, and that Premier Racing car is doing very, very well here at Homestead. Almost set up like a stock car, like we saw Tony Stewart race at Indianapolis here a little bit ago.
Yeah, this is just such a fun track. Like I said earlier, it really takes the equipment out of it. I mean, obviously speed is still critical. You got to have the car dial in just right. But this is where the bravery of the driver. You always think of Kyle Larson ripping the outside here, and that's sometimes the quickest way around. But it's also the quickest way to ruin if you slip.
100%. Just taking a peek around the racetrack, you can see everybody kind of single file action right now, taking a look at the most exciting battles around the track. There you see the 14 car. Haven't talked about Derek Cook too much, running back in 14th. Gained a couple of spots on the night so far, but still has some work to do. The 52 back here of Drew Moffitt, Wade Palmer the 5th, and the 24 car. Saw him get a little bit squirrely earlier on, but no damage, keeps riding, and we've been clean and green so far here for 22 laps.
Yeah, and based on the last few races for the Lugz guys, they really haven't left any reason to believe this would be a different scenario. They were really clean at the last few races. A couple of incidental cautions at Nashville, but short tracks you'll get that. Talladega was pretty much a clean and green show. It's really going to hand it to the pit sequences, the pit strategy here. And you may not be as dependent upon a teammate as you have been at some of these other tracks, but here, teammates can still make or break you one way or another.
100%. These drivers know that it's been a busy season, long season. Looking forward to a little bit of downtime, a little bit of practice time. Spend some time working on some other things. But season 3 already in the works. Seen some rumblings in the Facebook groups, in the Discord chat, all the good stuff. These drivers want to keep racing here throughout the 2022 season, and we look forward to potentially carrying that season here on Verdane TV. We'll see how the cookie crumbles, but right now, all the cookies in one jar. Kenny Coppola, 5-second lead. Look at that! Look at that climb. Chris Spear now has a mirror full of that 5 car. Going to try and get down and around him, but Kenny Coppola just pulling away at this point.
He is. I mean, I'm watching this gap back to Wayne Bowen because Wayne's kind of been out of the hunt here, but he's actually staying a little more in line with Coppola as we go. That second, third, fourth place pack is actually kind of starting to back up to him. Wayne's about 8 seconds back. He is absolutely going to need a caution or a big mistake on the part of that front 4 to catch up. But the positions, he's gaining position, he's gaining time, he's kind of hanging in where he needs to be right now. He just needs the race to come his way.
Solid 00, Tim Wartman Jr. down on pit road. We'll see what goes down there. A little unscheduled stop, or if it's scheduled, with 4 tires, fuel down and away. It looks like it's a scheduled stop. The 9 car, Matt Mackin, going to come down pit road here and get the very same. Get a little service on that number 9 Matt Napa machine. And I think this is going to force the issue here, Jeff, with some of these leaders. They're going to have to come down pit road, because if they don't, they're going to be giving up a lot of lap times, a lot of ground on or from those fresher tires from the drivers coming down pit road.
Absolutely, this track's one it's a very abrasive surface. A lot of the seaside tracks tend to pick that up for whatever reason, but this is a very abrasive surface that will chew through tires as you go deep into a run. So as those guys come in and make their call to pit early, they're going to force everybody else's hand. I'm checking out this here. Looks like fuel limits at 50% on these cars tonight, so that is going to force them to make a few pit stops. They've got 5 sets of tires to budget through the finish. Though from the looks of it, we're probably going to be looking at about a 4-stop race at this point if everything goes to plan.
And you got to wonder how long are some of these leaders going to stay out on pit road. Tim Wartman Jr., Matt Mackin already coming down pit road, and we'll see if we could take a look on the scoring tower there, the Verdane TV scoring tower on the left-hand side of your screen, and take a look at the lap times. That says the last lap by Kenny Coppola to 34:31. Boyles a little bit quicker in that new second-place driver. Douthwaite up to 3rd as well. Chris Spear sliding back to 4th, and you can see very similar lap times up towards the front, but 33.1, almost a full second quicker for Tim Wartman Jr., who's got those fresh tires. Matt Mackin just going to be coming around here to complete another lap, and once he crosses the stripe, we'll take a peek at his lap time there as well. But you can see in traffic, getting around the 41 car, like he's standing still and really able to get up to the 52 car. Little bit of contact. Holy moly, holds on to it. Mackin going to slide up one. Actually, no, he's a lap down at this point, so he's going to have to try and get around. And caution flag comes out here at Homestead. Caution flag number 1 on lap 29.
This is probably going to be a big break for Bowen. He's been staying right in. A little bit off, but just within range on Kenny Coppola's speeds. So it'll be interesting to see once they all make their pit stops under yellow here. Once the field shakes out, he's only going to have 4 cars to power through, more than likely, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do with that track position deficit minimized.
And looking like the 24 car has some big damage. I think he was trying to drive down to the garage area, but we'll take a peek here. Gets a little high, wide, not so handsome. You can see the back end of the car very, very loose. Comes down out of the corner, slaps the outside wall, comes down, slaps the inside wall. And it looks like that was some big enough damage. Black smoke coming out of that race car, and he tries to pull that thing down into the garage area. So that's a tough break for the Hendrick Motorsports number 24 that you can see sitting on pit road with some smoke pouring out and smoke pouring in as well, because here come the leaders. Coppola, Boyles, Douthwaite, Spear, Bowen, Absher, Ellert, Middle Miss, Justice, all down pit road. The 52, Drew Moffitt going to stay out, lead himself a lap. Looks like everybody else going to come down pit road, though.
Yeah, if the field's going to come down, this is the best thing you can do. Come down pit road under caution. I mean, there's really no gain staying out on the track right now on light fuel load, old tires. You're going to get dusted on the start. So there's really no good point. Stay out, lead a lap, but you're not going to want to do that for long. You're going to come in pit road first chance you get. Looks like Coppola's off pit road first, Boyles second.
Is that Bowen in third? It is. Bowen coming off third, picking up a couple more spots. That puts Kenny Coppola, Ed Boyles Jr., Wayne Bowen, 2, 3, and 4. Dave Douthwaite slides back to sixth of our championship contenders. And we made mention Drew Moffitt going to stay out in that 52 car. Lead a lap probably, may come down here. You can see Tim Wartman Jr. and the 00 car is the last car on the lead lap. He'll get waved around the pace car here shortly. And it looks like that 9 car of Matt Mackin going to get the free pass car once we get lights off on the pace car. So 15 cars still on the lead lap. All 15 of those cars going to end up on the lead lap, it looks like here. And 2 cars retired from the night, from the evening here. The 14 of Derek Cook and the 24 car of Wade Palmer the 5th.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Tim Wartman though. I mean, to his credit, he had some really solid finishes in these last 3 races here. Finished second in 2 of them, and it's just kind of a shame that still wasn't enough. Still wasn't enough to advance him to the final stage here.
Coppola has a very fast race car, has all season long in that 77 car, and leading the race again here today. And you can see the 9 car right in front of him. He's going to end up being the free pass car to get back on the lead lap once we get lights off on the race car. And just taking a look, these guys have 30 laps now, green flag run. They kind of been able to feel out the race car. They know exactly what it can do on those 30 laps, and these guys know they've still got 80, 90 laps or so before this thing is all said and done, and we're going to be crowning ourselves, pardon me, a champion at the end of this one. And really looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting party here in the Loose Lugz camp for sure.
Indeed, it looks like Derek Cook's going to return to the track after all. So we're going to have 16 cars still running at the end of this whole mess. Not too much damage though. I mean, I say this whole mess, but Wade Palmer looks like he took the worst of that, and he's going to be the one who doesn't make the green here. Everybody else is still in contention, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Taking a look, everybody getting lined up here side by side, 2 by 2 all the way through. Looks like the lights are going to be off on the iRacing pace car. Going to get back to some green flag racing. And here we go. We're picking them up, putting them down. Pretty quick race here so far, just clean and green. The one quick caution for the number 24 car, getting everything lined back up, stacked them, re-racked them, ready to rock and roll. 77 up front, Ed Boyles Jr. on the outside line. All 4 championship contenders up in that top 5.
You know, we've seen a lot of NASCAR playoffs. A lot of the NASCAR playoff races have played out this way, and we're not surprised to see it here tonight. Cream will always rise to the top, and so we've got this very strong top 5 there. It'll be interesting now to see, with a little bit of track position advantage, Wayne Bowen's going to start on the outside, so we'll see what he can do here.
Coming up on the entrance of pit road, NASCAR, or the iRacing pace car, going to take that hard left-hand turn on the safety of pit road. We're going to turn these drivers loose one more time. Restart on lap number 34. Kenny Coppola down low. Ed Boyles up on the high side. Has a very fast car in the 5 car, but slid back just a little bit. Kenny Coppola really just drove off, and you can see he's going to get a little bit of his push now from his Spire Motorsports teammate, Chris Spear, in the number 7 car. Is going to try and push him just a little bit, but doesn't even look like his teammate can keep up with him at this point. Kenny Coppola gets the advantage, and you see very, very smooth getting into the corners, really able to pull away from that 5 car, especially in the second half of that corner. Exit on that car is phenomenal.
Yeah, those Chevys are solid, but Wayne Bowen actually seems to be really struggling here. Looks like he just couldn't get him to drive off turn 4, and he's fallen back into the pack here. Just can't seem to keep pace with those leaders on the start, so it'll be interesting to see how his car comes in through the run.
And you can see a gaggle of cars back here fighting for the second half of the top 10. Wayne Bowen up in this as well. There you see Tim Wartman Jr., the 00 car. He's the 5th place driver in points. Backs up just a little bit. kind of gets things a little bit squirrely. Oh, contact. Ken Ellert sideways up into the outside wall in that 23 car. The McDonald's ride. Somebody dropped a McBurger on the ground, or a McDouble on the ground, rather. Sliding all the way back. A little bit of right side damage, but we stay clean and green. Ellert back to 14th now, at down 7 spots from where he started. Back up front, though. Still Kenny Coppola, 0.6 of a second lead over Ed Boyles, but now Ed Boyles has Chris Spear looking down low, trying to get that second spot back.
Yeah, looking through the field here, trying to see. Looks like Bowens hasn't quite lost touch with that lead battle there, but he's just kind of sitting back there behind teammate Jimmy Absher in 6th. Absher running 5th after a part-time schedule this year. But yeah, it looks like he's got some ways to go to figure out what to do on the setup on that 11 car. Not quite as fast as what we were expecting.
Getting things spread out just a little bit here at Homestead, and his drivers know they've got a long race. They can feel their cars out, kind of see what everybody else is doing on track. You see Jimmy Absher in the 18 car running in the solid top 5. We heard from Wayne Bowen last week. Jimmy Absher, a big part of the Joe Gibbs Racing team, does a lot of work with the drivers, kind of coaching them through how to drive certain races and things like that, and working on the setups as well. And you can see he's having a solid run. Teammate, championship contender, right in behind him, Wayne Bowen, up 9 spots in the night, slipping back just a little bit after this restart. Tim Ingram right in behind him. You can see he's having a good run so far in the 62, up 5 spots. Josh Battle in the 41. Haven't mentioned his name all night. He's having a good run as well in the top 10, running 8th, up 9 spots. Jamison Middlemiss in the 16, right up there and as well. And Drew Moffitt in the 52 car, quietly rounding out the top 10 so far. Bobby Justice right on the outside, running in 11th.
Yeah, we alluded to teammates earlier in the broadcast, and we were talking about how you may not see actual direct on-track influence from a teammate, but as you said, Wayne Bowen had a lot to say about Jimmy Absher and what he's meant to getting those setups perfected before they get into a race here. That's probably the biggest benefit of a teammate at this point. I mean, here you're not going to see, like I said, you're not going to see that direct influence. It's not going to help you on pit road. It's not going to help you on the track to have a drafting partner, but it's certainly going to help you to maybe feel out how a set of tires is wearing, maybe see how the lines are changing through the race, and the groove's going to shift a little bit at a track like this. And Wayne's certainly relying on Jimmy to kind of foreshadow that for him best he can.
7 Tree drivers making the call here tonight at Homestead. 1 driver out, Palmer in the 24 car after that little bit of an incident. A few laps to go to bring out our first caution flag of the night, our only caution flag of the night as we work lap number 41. And a couple of drivers off the lead lap, 2 drivers off the lead lap. The 00 Tim Wartman Jr., Derek Cook in the 14 car as well. But everybody else still on the lead lap, giving us 14 cars. They're all chasing down Kenny Coppola and his teammate, getting a little bit closer now. Was able to pull up around Ed Boyles in that 5 car. And you got to wonder here, Jeff, did the 77 back up just a little bit to maybe save a little bit of stuff? Or did that 7 car find something that the 77 car maybe didn't tell him about?
It's so hard to say. I mean, you don't want to run away too much from the field at this point. You're in the middle of the race right now. You don't want to really burn anything off, and he doesn't really have a good reason to burn anything off. He's a second and a half ahead of his nearest championship contender. Whether he finishes first or second doesn't really matter. Kenny wants to win. We both know Kenny wants to win, but at the same time, right now, doesn't really pay to go off and lead by 5 seconds. You might be able to dial that back a little bit, hang on to some tires, hang on to some fuel, maybe stretch this run out a little bit.
100%. And Kenny dominating this race so far, and he's made mention a couple of times. He's had a few victory lane interviews here in that 77 car. Only been doing the sim racing deal for a couple of years. His wife was able to hook him up with a steering wheel and a setup, and she told him to go racing. So go racing he did, and joined up with the Loose Lugz Cup Series. Had a pretty good season last year, but man, this season, especially the second half of the season, really picked up momentum. Won the very first race at Daytona, the Secret Simulations 300, and it was all go from there. Came home so far with 5 wins on the season, shooting for win number 6, and he's got his teammate there in his back pocket with Chris Spear in that 7 car. So everything looking good for Kenny. We don't want to jinx him too much. We know all about that commentary curse. It happens everywhere. It happens here in Verdane TV, and we don't want to mess him up. But he's doing really good, having a really good strong car, a good strong run here at Homestead as well.
And it's really reassuring to see a driver come up from, to basically come from nowhere to jump into sim racing. I mean, this is not a video game. It's not it's not an easy challenge to take on, and it's incredible to see drivers, with only a couple seasons out here contending like this. Not just trying to figure out the car, not just trying to sort things out, but to go out and dominate races, to go out and put on a clinic like Kenny has so a few times this season. It's really reassuring to see, and I mean, it speaks well for those who want to get involved in sim racing. Racing is a very high wall sport. It's a high barriers to entry. You can't just, I've said it to a couple of people. Basketball's easy. Anywhere you can find a hoop, anywhere you can find a ball, you can play basketball. You don't need equipment. Even ice hockey, you need gear, you need pads, you need sticks, you need an ice rink. Racing, you absolutely need everything you can find, and nothing is cheap. And so sim racing kind of gives you that gateway, whether, for a lot of people who don't have the opportunity to jump into a real race car, and even people who do, this is an opportunity to go out there, maybe be a little more competitive than you could afford to be elsewhere.
100%. Sim racing is one of those things too, and you see the NASCAR drivers do it, IndyCar drivers, all the world famous race car drivers that actually are able to get in behind these beasts and wheel them around racetracks. But with the sim racing deal, you can have anything just as simple as a steering wheel hooked up to your regular desktop computer. You could have one monitor, three monitors, 27 monitors. You can have sim rigs that kind of move around. You can have your $120 Staples chair that you've had for 5 or 6 years, and it's probably time to get a new one. Sponsorship opportunities available if you want to sponsor a Vidane TV gaming chair. But it's pretty cool, all the different additions and the add-ons and the different rig setups for this sim racing thing. And I've been around sim racing for probably about 15 years now, maybe even longer than that, I think. And it's great to see. I don't want to call it an esport, but it is an esport. It's great to see it grow into an esport and then continue to grow. We've had sim racing on Fox, on primetime TV, which was very cool during the pandemic last year, and Vidane TV has grown by leaps and bounds because of the pandemic, starting up last year and very quickly approaching our 2-year marker coming up here in March. So we might have to set up a little bit of a celebration for that for sure, but it's very cool. You've got your steering wheels, your different monitors, your different setups, and you're very familiar with the box I just got. U-House Racing Designs jumping on board here with Vidane TV, sponsoring the instant replays now in all of our shows, and got a great box by the U-House camp, button box. It's actually a USB. You plug it into the computer, and it's set up just like a race car, Jeff. You can push the buttons. It's got a key you can put on there. You can switch. It's got those cool little jet engine switch things, the toggle switches. Lots of lights, and there's room for stickers. It just made my day when I was able to open that up. Got to get it hooked up and a little review video for that. But great to have U-House Racing Designs on board, and it's really cool to see the innovations that have come out of sim racing. A lot of it has even been implemented into the real world of racing. You can look at Ryan Preece, one of the most talented talented drivers in the Northeast, really anywhere, if you ask me, and has had an opportunity with some decent equipment, but just landed a job with Stewart Haas Racing as their simulator driver. How cool is that?
It's something we didn't see years ago, and I'm looking back to my college days 20 years ago. I'm dating myself here, and back then there was talk of, they called it the Cyber Athlete Amateur League, the Cyber Athlete Professional League, and people in the CPL were actually like sponsored by Logitech, sponsored by other companies that made gaming hardware at the time, and there was a big deal. Some guy who calls himself Mouse might be, hey, this guy's really good with this particular gaming mouse. They'll give him a contract, and it's come. At the time it was kind of laughable to us, even in an engineering school. You'd kind of chuckle at the very notion of people making any sort of living or people making money off of sim racing. But especially in an era nowadays where we're trying to limit testing, for cost reasons, for COVID reasons, for travel, drivers will tell you in the big leagues that a test session is basically a race you have to spend for that you don't get any prize money on. And so, as we've seen all of that eliminated, it's really put the onus on teams to get those drivers together, a reserve driver, if you will. And that's, hey, it's an avenue, it's an opportunity, and if that's a way for drivers to progress from sim racing to real racing, so be it.
And we've seen that happen many, many times. A lot of the drivers here on Vidane TV that have jumped into real race cars. Me being one of them. I was around sim racing for a very long time, all the way back in 2011. I made my very first NASCAR sanctioned start in a street stock at Stafford Motor Speedway with a company called Rent a Race Car, and Gary Spinato Jr., the owner, one of the owners, Paul Verricchio Jr., the owner, the other owner, co-owner, I guess you could say, were gracious enough to let me drive that race car 3 times. Got a top 10 out of it, which is pretty dang cool. And we've seen a lot of sim racers make that very same leap. Josh Parker comes to mind. He's run a couple of races at Stafford Motor Speedway, ran a season in the 81 Street Stock a few years back, and was really able to kind of show his sim racing talents on the real racetrack, which would be really cool. And I think it'd be really cool for, maybe some of the loose Lugz guys to jump in to essentially a program like Rent a Race Car. I don't believe there's a couple of guys here in the New England area, so might be able to see some of these guys jump in a Rent a Race Car. But I mean, how cool would it be to see like a Kenny Capola, Chris Spear, or Ed Boyles in a real race car, just to kind of compare their driving skills in the simulator onto the real racetrack?
Oh, especially with the know-how that goes behind having, having a non-fixed setup arrangement where you actually have to kind of dial these cars in to be able to see what a race car driver will tell you all day long that you can't drive these cars from the butt the way you can a real race car. But hey, things do translate. I mean, nobody, they wouldn't do simulator time. They wouldn't do iRacing time if it didn't have some sort of benefit in the long run. Getting back on track, it looks like we see Wayne Bones running down David Douthwaite here for 4th place. He had kind of dropped back, cooled his heels a little bit. He's coming back through the field, running him down, making that pass for 4th right now. So it's putting himself back another spot up in contention here.
And all 5 of those championship contenders still in the top 10. And you see Wayne Bowen getting around Douthwaite, clearing him just fine, putting a couple of car lengths in between him. And now he's going to set his sights on Ed Boyles Jr. He might be able to close right up here because he is side by side with Chris Spear in that number 7 car. Looks like he's going to grab that position as they shoot on down into turn number 1. And you can look out front for Kenny Capola, but he gone 4-second lead now for that 77 car, picking up from where he put it. Yep, that's all, folks. Picking up from where he led off here at the start of the race, and he's led every lap so far, I believe, except for that 1 lap under caution that the 52 led for staying out there. So almost a perfect game so far for Kenny Capola and the 77 crew.
Yeah, when we went off on our tangent there, I mean, he was just kind of chilling in front of Chris Spear, his teammate, just kind of, not running away from it, not burning anything up. He's taken off like a shot now. I mean, 4.1 seconds ahead of second place Ed Boyles. He's got about a 5.2 second lead on Wayne Bowen in 4th. So Kenny's really taken off. That second pack really seems to be racing close, but we haven't actually seen a green flag run here that turned into pit stops, and we're pretty rapidly closing in on that, I'd say. At 58 laps complete, we're definitely closing in on some green flag stops. I'd say probably the next 5 or 10 laps.
Absolutely. We saw about 30 laps or so is when Wartman and Cook came down pit road. Both of those guys still trapped a lap down. We haven't had many cautions to get these guys back on the lead lap. Only the one caution that got Matt Mackin and the 9 car back on track. And speaking of pit stops, there he goes. Matt Mackin going to go down pit road. He was one of the first drivers to pit under that first cycle, first driver to pit under the second cycle here as well. And we saw here, Jeff, once these guys came down, put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on those race cars, about a second, almost 1.2 seconds quicker than they were on the old tires. And that is a big thing to see. And another big thing happening right now, Wayne Bowen up to 3rd. 12 spots gained on the night very easily. The biggest mover so far here of the evening. That 11 car now setting his sights on 2 championship contenders running 1 and 2, Capola and Boyles.
Yeah, Bowen definitely coming to life here in the later stage. I'm thinking his car's probably more dialed in on these longer runs, which you're more likely to have. So it'll be interesting to see when the pit strategy shakes out over the long haul, if that's able to fall into his lap. I mean, he might be coming on strong. The end of that, by my rough calculations, we were going to be somewhere around the late stages of a green flag run. If this race goes green, of course, anything could happen.
Anything can and has happened here in the sim racing world, especially here on Verdane TV. We've seen some crazy things happen, and we're looking for a crazy finish here to a good season. All year long. These guys have been racing here with us on Wednesday nights. The second season they've actually done it here as well. And man, oh man, the racing has been phenomenal all the way through. You can see Wayne Bowen now finally almost able to complete the pass on Boyles. He's all the way down in the apron. Boyles all the way up to that high side wall, able to hold on to it. And you can see Boyles is going to have enough momentum to get back up to the bumper of the 11 car. He's going to try it down low, but now we got pit stops. Bunch of drivers coming on down. Douthwaite, Ellert, Zemer down on pit road. Justice Battles and Wartman down and away as well. They're going to get some service. Leader, Kenny Coppola down on pit road as well. Ed Boyles Jr. is down in the 5 car, and looks like Wayne Bowen's going to stay out, lead him a lap. Chris Spear, Jimmy Apsher still on track.
Yeah, if you've got teammates, if you've got competitors that are coming down pit road and gaining a second and a half a lap on you, you need to come in. You need to come and get those tires. And here, it'll be 4 tire stops and fuel all night long. Looks like we see Ken Ellert leaving pits, and here's Ed Boyles in for his stop. And we've got Colin Zemer heading back out to the track now. Jameson Middlemiss down on pit road.
And there you can see the 77 down and away, 4 tires and fuel. Going to run on out there for another 30 laps. And that's a good timing, because another 30 laps puts us around 94, 95 or so. And that leaves us with about 30 laps to go. So that takes a lot of the math out of the equation. Wayne Bowen down on pit road, Jimmy Apsher as well. Tim Ingram in the 62 car, Derek Cook in the 14 going to come down as well. There you see Tim Wartman Jr. out on track, trying to get a lap back in that 00 car, but not quite getting there just yet. Chris Spear, the current leader of the race, the 9 gets on around, the 41 gets around, the 7 going to come down pit road. He's had enough. He's going to come get 4 fresh Goodyears.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing the math here on your pit stop strategy here, and I think you're just about right, which means you are going to be in the end of a run on that last run. Hopefully everybody's able to balance their fuel out, but it could get pretty interesting if teams have to start kind of gambling on that last run to see if they've got to stretch their fuel mileage just 1 or 2 laps more to make it to the finish.
Chris Spear, the current leader, being scored right now. He's down on pit road getting the tires changed, but here comes the man, Kenny Coppola in the 77 car, crossing the stripe. Lap number 65 rather, takes over the lead, and you can look, he's got about 4.2 seconds over Ed Boyles, and you can see Spear still dropping down that scoring pylon. 6 seconds, 7 seconds on back, staying out that extra lap or 2 just to lead a lap. Detrimental to the track position with those fresh tires. Those guys putting on some quick lap times, a second or 2 quicker per lap. And you can see it drops back 8 seconds now, almost going to be 9 seconds back from the leaders by the time he gets it all sorted out. You saw the 11 car at Bowen as well get a little squirrely, got up into the outside safer barrier, made a little scuff, make some sparks, gets it pointed back in the right direction, but definitely not what you want to see if you're trying to fight for a championship, especially if you're trying to chase down this rocket, the number 77 here of Kenny Coppola.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got the we saw Bowen stay out for a couple laps, and it was absolutely tragic. I mean, he went from being probably in pretty good shape to run down Coppola over the long haul, and he's just 9 seconds out, so you're back in position and needing a caution to catch up.
Closing in on the 32 and getting on down around the 32. Colin Zemer going to be another driver down a lap. 10 drivers now on the lead lap, and you can see, according to the Verdane TV scoring tower, got a couple of drivers right up in front now of the leader, Ellert, Justice, and Moffitt, in danger of going a lap down to our leader here, the 77 of Kenny Coppola. And that's not to say that those drivers are going slow by any stretch of the imagination. Kenny Coppola's done his homework. He's got a fast setup underneath that car. He's got the strategy. He's got the rest of the race worked out as far as when he's going to pit, when he needs to pit, and everything looking good for the 77 car. Led a whole bunch of laps here this evening, and he is the man to beat. And he's had races like this in the past, in this season even, where he's done this exact thing. Get on the pole and lead almost the entirety of the race and come home with the victory. And he's trying to do that one more time in the biggest race of the season, biggest race in his young sim racing career. Made mention only 2 years in the sim racing, and really probably most definitely the best improved driver in this loose lug racing bunch. Like I said, great season last year, but an awesome season this year. Coming home with the win, trying to bookend the season here with the win as we work lap number 69. Nice.
I'm 40 years old, going on 12 here. What can I say? But But no, it is great to see. You've got a driver who's still in the infancy of his sim racing career, just getting it. And that's, I mean, as somebody who certainly hasn't progressed like that in my sim racing experience, it's reassuring to see. Frustrating at the same time. You wish you could pull off the same thing, but he's also, he's got a great teammate in Chris Spear. He's got the connection with the RCR guys. I believe you said Spire was working with this season, and so I mean, all of that, it's a wealth of knowledge that you can draw on. You draw upon the drivers who are a little bit senior to you, drivers who have been there, drivers who have handled these cars in the past. And Capol's taking everything he's given and absolutely spinning it into gold tonight.
And that's about how Season 2's been for the 77 camp, really the Spire Motorsports as well. Chris Spear in the 7 car having a really good season, and we've seen the teamwork between these teams, and it's cool. It's one of these leagues that follows the Cup Series schedule, the Cup Series teams, and the Cup Series drivers and sponsors and things like that. And as the season kind of progressed, a lot of these guys got a lot of airtime here on Verdane TV, and they were able to pick up some real-life sponsors that they were able to kind of maneuver and get painted into some of these real-life paint schemes. So it's been really cool to see the different mashups with the real-life sponsors for these drivers as well as the Cup car paint schemes. It's really cool to see. One of the paint schemes that really sticks out is the Fatheads Eyewear number 88 from last year, which was really cool. It was the old nationwide paint scheme that Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran, but with the Fatheads Eyewear logo on it. These guys hooked up with Fatheads Eyewear. Got myself a pair. They're sitting right here. Pretty cool little eyewear company jumping on board. They support Tony Stewart and a lot of different racers as well, and it was very cool to have them on board for a season. And with Season 2 wrapping down, Season 3 already getting penciled in. Plans are being put together for these guys. Lots of sponsorship opportunities available with the Loose Lugz Cup Series and here on Verdane TV. If you've got any kind of interest in jumping on board, these guys are one of the quickest growing sim racing leagues here over the past couple of years, and a great group of guys. They put on a heck of a show and getting better and better and faster as the races and the seasons go on. So definitely check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/looselugsracing, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction, get you hooked up with a race sponsorship, a title sponsorship for the entire series. There's different places for different logos all the way around the sim racing racetrack, just like it is in real life. And it's so cool to me to be able to see, your logo on a car, and a lot of these guys, a lot of sim racers will go out. They'll make their own merchandise. I know when I was doing the sim racing deal before I jumped in as a league owner with Verdane Racing, or started the TV deal a couple years ago here with Verdane TV, I had sim racing merchandise. Yeah, there were people out there that were wearing my T-shirt. There was maybe 4 of them, but it's still pretty cool to be able to kind of do that. Real racing, very expensive. Sim racing, kind of expensive, but it's pretty cool. We made mention it's cold here in Connecticut. If it ain't TV HQ, we got the wood stove rocking right next to the computer, and it's now probably a toasty 85 degrees in here. You can race these race cars. You can do commentary. You can do broadcasts right from the comfort of your own home. And you can do it on iRacing.com. Check it out, iRacing.com. I believe they've still got the 40% discount for new members, so definitely check that out. Worth every penny. Comes with a lot of different racing styles, different vehicles, the all 3 top-tier NASCAR circuits, and all the different racetracks and NASCAR visits, road racing, dirt racing, all sorts of cool stuff. They've even got the LA Coliseum, just came out today. That's going to be racing the Busch Light Clash here in a couple of weeks' time, really kicking off the real racing season. I know everybody's been waiting for that, myself included. And you could race at the Clash. You could run out there with the new next-gen NASCAR Cup car. You can run out there with a truck, legend car if you wanted to, super late model, whatever you wanted to do. The possibilities with iRacing are endless.
The possibilities are endless, but I have an inside tip from an NEP league member who shall remain anonymous that the street stock might just be the hot setup at the LA Coliseum right now.
That may very well be the Verdane TV second birthday bash, even though we didn't have a first birthday bash. COVID canceled our birthday party, but maybe maybe
crack like that, it's bound to be a bash.
Yeah, 100%. We might have to talk about that for sure. But working lap number 78, Kenny Capola still out front. There you see him, 4.5 second lead over Ed Boyles Jr. 1, 2, 3. Dave Douthwaite there in third as well. Championship contenders there in the top 5. Chris Spear Running in fourth, been in the top 5 all night long, Wayne Bowen worked his way back up from almost shotgun on the field, running in the 5th position. And you'd think, hey, this guy's running in 5th position in a race where the winner, the guy that finishes the best out of the 4 championship contenders wins the championship trophy. The guy in 5th place must be doing really good. Nope. He's actually in last, as the championship contenders are currently 1, 2, 3, and 5. So Wayne Bowen has a couple of cars to get around to try and get up towards the front, and Chris Spear has a little bit of work to do. He's the front runner of the non-championship contenders. He's the first guy closest to being eligible for that Bounty Hunter Challenge if he comes home with the victory, or if anybody outside of those top 4 championship contenders comes home with the victory, they get that Bounty Hunter Challenge that's grown all season long. 130 big ones, $130 into the pocketbook, and that's is a very cool little deal. Each race that has gone by that a championship contender has won, they threw a couple of bucks into the pot for anybody to try and spoil the spotlight. But here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series on Verdane TV here on Wednesday nights, the cream seems to rise to the top, and we've had championship contenders winning a lot of the seasons. The top 4 drivers coming home with 12 of the season wins so far combined. So pretty crazy here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series.
Yeah, Kobel is out there and leaving absolutely nothing on the track right now. I mean, he's got a 4.5 second lead over second place. Not the kind of drive you'd expect from a driver who can kind of sit back and maybe save a little bit for the end, but he's not taking any chances right now. Wayne Bowen's sitting a pretty consistent 10.5 seconds back. He's settled into that rhythm we were talking about earlier where he just doesn't seem to have it on the short run. On the long run, he kind of levels out and he's able to stay pretty much neck and neck with Kenny, but at that point, he's already 5-10 seconds back. He's well out of contention. Bowen might need to take a pretty big swing at it on the next pit stop if he wants to try to get out front.
And there you can see Zemer holding on to the high side there in the 32 cars. Wayne Bowen, it goes on around a little bit further on back. Teammate Jimmy Absher in the 18 car having a solid run in 6th, and that Rowdy Energy Drink number 18 car. Jameson Middlemiss in behind him in the 16 car. A little side-by-side action with the 62 car. That's 62, though, of Tim Ingram, 1 lap down from the pit stops here. 2 cautions so far here tonight. Ken Ellert in the 23, the McDonald's ride, holding his own here in the top 10, running in 9th. Check that, 8th. Drew Moffitt in the 52, let himself a lap earlier on, holding on to 9th. And Bobby Justice finally breaking into the top 10, running in that 10th position in the Purple Deuce.
And Ken Ellert, he had a little encounter with the wall there under green flag. Never got the opportunity to come and service that car under caution. So he's been hanging tough out there in 8th place, running 8th right now. On the very tail end of the lead lap, going to probably lose a lap in a couple circuits here. But solid run for a driver who hit the wall and lost a hell of a lot of momentum under green flag conditions.
And a lot of times you can come down pit road and get that serviced under green flag, but it takes a lot of time, seconds or miles on racetracks under green flag conditions. And with us only having the 2 cautions here so far, tough to get a little bit of time to work on that race car. So struggling with the handling on that 23 car and running out of time. You can see, there's 32 getting a little bit squirrely up there. The 18 gets on by, not for position. 32 car stuck a lap or so down. And you can see Kenny Capola putting on such a clinic here at Homestead Miami Speedway. 8 cars on the lead lap. Ken Eller in that 23 car, the last driver on the lead lap, and he's in danger of going a lap down here if the caution flag doesn't come out.
Wayne Bowen's found some trouble on track, too. He's about 13 seconds back now in the lead. He's dropped off just a bit. He's fallen back to 6th. So tough break for Wayne. It looks like his championship hopes might be on the ropes here.
Yeah, and we've seen some crazy things happen here, but less than 50 laps to go here at Homestead, clicking off laps as quickly as these drivers are going, and as strong as these other 3 championship contenders are, it's going to be tough for the 11 car to get back up into the fight. And that's crazy to say because he's running in 6th right now, having a good run, having a solid run. And I think anybody else would have a phenomenal, would leave the track with their head held high. And the 11 car had a great season all season long, but struggling just a little bit here at Homestead, especially after missing the qualifying laps earlier on, having to start shotgun on the field. And Kenny Capola is just pulling away. He's coming up on some lap traffic. Lap traffic's getting out of his way. There you see Ken Ellert in the 23 car in danger of going a lap down. And then it's about 4 seconds or so on up to the Middlemiss machine, 14 seconds rather, of the Middlemiss machine. So that's a dangerous thing for the rest of the field. Kenny Capola in the 77 car going to have some clean air on the nose of his car, but one of the things we got to focus in on, it's just about lap 90 here, Jeff. Green flag pit stops getting ready to happen again. Here comes the 00.
Yeah, we're going to have another cycle here, and this is going to set everything up for that last sprint to the finish. You're going to want to try to stretch this run as long as you possibly can, but you kind of hope you catch a caution at the right opportunity. But this race just hasn't had the feel of a caution flag anytime soon. You get the field spread out enough, and these guys have enough discipline on track that they're not going to go out and burn. They're not going to go out and burn their stuff up. They're not going to go out and make some reckless move that's going to cost a caution here.
And it's kind of a catch-22. If you stay out long here and try and save yourself a little bit of tires for that final run, you lose track time on track. But if you come down early, the tires start to fade off just a little bit more on that second run. So what do you do? And what do you do compared to everybody else? So far, Tim Wartman, the only driver that has come down. You can see he's entering the racetrack now. Multiple laps down, just not able to get caught up. It came down early last time the caution flag came out under that first caution there, right around lap number 30. And a lot of these drivers have that in the back of their mind as well. Matt Mackin, another one of the early pit stop drivers, coming down in the Napa 9 machine, and he's going to get some 4 tires and fuel on that car and see if he can get himself back into the top 10. And Kenny Capola bypasses the entrance one more time. The 77 staying out on track. Lap number 90. Here we go. 25, 35, carry the 1. 35 laps to go here at Homestead.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because if you pit in the next 2 or 3 laps, I think it's going to be awful tight to make it to the finish. I think you might have to come in for a splash with about 2 or 3 laps to go. That's a position you really don't want to be in, but at the same time, as we say to people in my line of work, I'd rather have you come in and take the early fuel than me have to bring it to you because it's going to be more expensive that way. If you end up staying on track, and we actually saw that play out at Talladega. We saw some guys try to stretch, the Hendrick Motorsports teammates all tried to stretch to the finish, and Ed Boyles cost him dearly when he was sitting during pit sequences. He was sitting in the lead at times, but it's really, oh boy, this is where you hate to be the strategist. You hate to call it wrong because you don't want to call it too conservatively, but boy, you got to have a little bit in the tank, especially if you get that late race caution that turns into an overtime situation. You do not want to be running on fumes.
Justice and Moffitt coming down pit road from the top 10. Kenny Capola coming up on the entrance to pit road one more time. He's up high on the racetrack, so I don't believe he's coming back down this time. And you can see crosses the start-finish line because I am absolutely paying attention to the racetrack, but the 77 car staying out one more lap. You can see Ed Boyles Jr. about 4 seconds back. It's kind of leveled off, not really gaining, not really losing. Chris Spear, the Spire Motorsports teammate to our leader there in the number 7 car, running in third. Jimmy Absher having a good run as well for the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 machine. He is side by side with championship contender Dave Douthwaite. Douthwaite going to get down low and get around, try and get that position. Nope, 34 is going to back up. Looks like he might be coming down pit road this time. And here comes Wayne Bowen, the other Joe Gibbs Racing car, out on track in the 11, the championship contender as well. And you can see, well, maybe the 34 struggling with the handling. Didn't come down pit road, but Seamer in battles did. Both of those drivers getting service. 32 car down and away. Kenny Capola still out on track, still has a lead, and looks like it's shrinking just a little bit as Kenny Capola might be running those tires off. You can see Ed Boyles Jr. really closing in the back. Now drop that lead to 3.3 seconds or so, and that 77 car down by the apron. I think he's going to come down this time. No, I'm wrong.
Yeah, at this point, Kenny has lost a little bit of the edge off that lead. I mean, it's back and forth, but this is the point where maybe the leader's backing off. You're backing out of the throttle a little bit. You're trying to save a little bit of fuel, save a little bit here or there. This is the time when you actually can. It looks like Kenny might be getting ready to come down off the banking here, but this is where maybe you can save a little bit where you're out in the lead. You've got such a strong advantage. Why burn it up? Take this opportunity to save some fuel now. Come in pit road. Now you can run it a little more aggressively to the finish. And here comes Kenny down pit road. Coppola's coming down pit road now.
Capola, Boyles, Minimus, Bowen, Absher, Ingram, and Cook all down pit road. Chris Spear going to stay out, lead himself a lap. Ed Boyles down and away last time by. You can see he's leaving the exit of pit road now through that exit road, and that's going to be something all these guys are going to have to keep an eye on. Make sure you don't spin out coming off of that. Kenny Capola in the 77 coming to the attention of his crew. Left side, check that right side tires going on the race car. Going to grab left sides here as well. Full tank of Sunoco race gas and take back off for another 30-lap run here at Homestead. Chris Spear staying out one more time, going to lead himself a lap. And everybody, I believe now, has been on pit road. Capola, Absher, Douthwaite all getting ready to leave. You can see 77 car having a little bit of a struggle, it looked like, there when they come back to the camera.
He looped it. Yeah, he looped it coming right off pit road. This is the gap that we were talking about. He's coming out right in front of Wayne Bowen. That one little spin just erased about 10 seconds of on-track time that Coppola had over the 11, or Coppola rather. I keep reverting to the acting family and not our driver here. Apologies to Kenny and his family for that. But yeah, he came out right in front of the 11 car. That he lost a ton of ground there. So this could hand the race back to Chris Spear and Ed Boyles. And we were talking about that bounty. That bounty's never looked better than it does right now.
Capola has some work to do. You can see big-time losses there to Ed Boyles Jr. Ed Boyles able to get down and around very cleanly, and it looks like the gap going to be about 6 seconds or so. Chris Spear still out on track, going to come down. Nope, he's down on pit road now, getting service to his machine. So it could be a heartbreaker for that 77 machine. We still have 33 laps of racing here at Homestead, but Kenny Capola perfect all night long. One little mistake in the exit of a pit stop, looping that car around. One of the things I do have to point out, didn't spin the tires. He locked that thing up, didn't kill it, didn't kill the tires, didn't burn the tires down, was able to get that thing pointed in the right direction and going once again. Chris Spear now down off a pit road. He's going to rejoin right in front of his teammate in the 77, so we're going to watch these guys kind of work together potentially to see if they can race down Ed Boyles Jr., but you can see once we cycle on out, that 5 car out front by better than 6 seconds.
And I mean, to be in fairness, we've seen how Kenny pulled away under green. At this point, you've got to pretty much use up what you've got if you're Kenny Capola. Doing it again here. But no, I'm looking at this. I mean, he pulled, on the last few green flag runs, he'd pull out to a 5-second lead. So whether he can shave 5 seconds off of Ed Boyle's lead right now is anybody's guess. I mean, it seems like if there's any car out there, he certainly could. But now he's also going to have to work around lap traffic, and that's going to kill some lap times too.
Time starting to run out. We're getting closer to that 100-lapper. 99 laps in the book, 26 laps to go, and you can see Capola trying to do everything he can to close that gap, trying to get back up to Ed Boyles Jr. He's already gapped his teammate, gotten around Spear and passed him just a little bit. So this is going to be the race, I think. It's going to be interesting to watch to see if Kenny Capola's got enough time to try and catch the number 5 of Ed Boyles Jr. He's absolutely got the car, absolutely has the setup, absolutely has the driver. But with 25 laps to go, is that enough time to watch Kenny Capola in the 77 car race, drive, force his way 5.2 seconds back up to the back bumper of Ed Boyles? And oh, by the way, he's got to get around him too. So it's a tall order for the 77 car. But I think if anybody in this field was able to pull it off, it's going to be Kenny Capola.
Okay, Kenny's shown some incredible speed the second half of the season here. Shown speed all year round, but coming into the championship 4, he was absolutely an early favorite. He kind of took it easy. I mean, took it a little bit easy at Talladega, where it was kind of a lottery of a race anyhow. Inherited a great win over at Nashville, and then turned out decent performance at Las Vegas to wrap it up. But punching his ticket early, he was able to kind of cool off in that last show, and he's definitely cooling off now. I mean, he's probably shaved off about 0.8 of a second already on Ed Boyle's advantage.
4.5 seconds now to lead between Boyles and Capola, and that's dropped by about a second in just a matter of 4 or 5 laps. So doing the math, I'm not good at math. He might have enough time, but there's a lot of cars still on track. 8 cars still on the lead lap here. Ed Boyles Jr., the leader in the number 5 car. Kenny Capola chasing him down after a mishap there. Looped the car around, coming out of pit road on pit road exit. Pardon me. You can see Ed Boyles coming up on some lap traffic, the 41 car. Going to move on up out of the way and allow the leaders to get down and around. And you can look around this racetrack. The lights have come on. The sun has finally set. racing in total darkness here. 24 laps to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway, racing for a championship. Top 4 championship contenders, Ed Boyles Jr. out front, Kenny Capola running in second, Dave Douthwaite back in fifth, and Wayne Bowen with a little bit of damage on that number 11 car running in sixth. All 4 of these championship contenders have been in the top 6 all night long, and Kenny Capola really been the class of the field so far, but has that little bit of a mishap, and you can see it's been 2 laps since we looked at that time. Chris Spear actually down and around. Kenny Capola dropping just a bit squirrely as the car goes. Chris Spear getting down and around, taking over that second position. But you can see still closing in on the back bumper of the number 5 car.
Yeah, they definitely have enough time to run Boyles down. Now, of course, the question is, will they, like you said, will they have a chance to make a move? Well, there's always one move you can make. It's not everybody's favorite, but there's certainly a move you can make to win. Might get some certain salutes from the crowd afterwards, though.
100%, and we've seen it happen here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series. We've seen it happen on Bedane TV many times with all the different leagues that we work with here over the past couple of years, and a lot of respect between the drivers here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series, but championship on the line, anything can happen. We've heard Tony Stewart say he'd wreck his grandma for a championship, so anything can happen in the racing world, the sim racing world, on Bedane TV and here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series. You see the 14 car a little bit off the pace. The 7 car is going to get down and around on the bottom side, not for position, but look at that Bedane TV scoring tower there on the left-hand side of your screen. Less than 3 seconds is the gap between leader Ed Boyles Jr. and Chris Spear in the 7 car. Kenny Capola struggled with the lap traffic just a little bit, not able to get around as cleanly as his teammate. He's not able to close up time, and this is exactly what Capola didn't want to see. With everything going down as it is now, it looks like he might have stalled out as far as the forward momentum. Really going to need a caution to get that 77 car caught back up.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he has a car to get there, but at that point, by the time he gets there, Chris Spear might already have it set sail for the win here.
Little side-by-side action between some lap traffic. Kenny Capola is still trying to get down and around. You can see he's still got sights of his teammate there in the number 7, but he's trying to get up to his teammate so he can get up around Ed Boyles Jr. And right now with 19 laps to go, that's the man to beat. That's the man almost holding that championship trophy. Almost has it in his grasp. He can smell it. 19 circuits left to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway after a long season. These guys have been racing all season long, and you can see Chris Spear really able to close up the gap, and you can see Ken Ellert coming in the picture. There's Chris Spear just barely coming in to the top of your picture. He's able to keep moving forward. Kenny Capola seems to have still stalled out behind that number 52 car, and you got to wonder if he did slide those tires, maybe flat spotted the tires, could that have possibly be affecting the handling of that 77 car?
Oh, it's certainly possible. I mean, like you said, he didn't spin the tires, he locked them up. But if the slightest bit of a flat spot here gives you that bit of a disadvantage, he could also be taking a little bit easy. I mean, he's dropped back a little bit. He knows the stakes, what the situation is right now. Is he gambling on Boyles' car falling back after he gets caught by the leader or by Spear? It's hard to say. I mean, he's starting to clear some traffic now. He's getting past Drew Moffitt now, heading down into turn 1. That'll give him a little bit of clean track to run through, but it'll be curious to see if he can take off like he did earlier. He definitely has a car. It's just a question to see if is he holding back some, or is he hanging? I mean, I don't know. With so few laps at this point, I don't know that it's time to hold back.
That lead dropping in a big way. Ed Boyles Jr. holding on to it. Is he holding off to try and save some tires, or is Chris Spear burning the wick at both ends, trying to get down and around? The lead as we cross the stripe here with 16 laps to go, now less than a second. Chris Spear closing in on the back bumper, has his sights set on that number 5 car. One of the things we got to keep in mind here, Jeff, is that 5 car, one of the first cars to come down pit road on all of the pit sequences here tonight. A, does he have enough fuel to make it to the finish? B, how much wear does he have on the tires compared to everybody else? And C, is he going to be able to hold on to the lead here with Chris Spear coming up right in behind him? Now half a second the gap between the 5 and the 7, crossing the stripe. 15 to go here at Homestead.
Yeah, and Chris Spear's got well over 100 reasons to be doing this right now. He is running him right down.
Timer showing Coppola able to close up just a little bit, but Chris Spear is there. He's right to the back bumper now of the 5 car. It looks like Coppola able to get around down through almost all of the lap traffic. Has to get around the 23 of Ellert. Looks like he's going to do so, and then he can set his sight now on that lead battle. His teammate just picked it up and put it back down. Chris Spear, the new leader, as we cross the stripe. 14 laps to go. Chris Spear racing not for a championship, not one of the championship contenders, but if he wins this race, he gets that Bounty Hunter Challenge that's been up to $130 now as it's grown throughout the season. Each race that's gone by that a championship contender has won. Chris Spear, we've added a little bit of money to that pot, and we're up to $130. Tim Wartman Jr. now down on pit road with 14 laps to go. That's big. That is huge. He's one of the first drivers to come down pit road. Everybody usually comes in within 3 laps or so. We've got more than 3 laps of racing. Jeff, I think we got another pit stop.
We might. I mean, at this point, like I was saying, you get that late race caution that you didn't want to see. No one wants to be stuck on fumes having a pit under caution there. So here you are in a situation as this lead battle starting to close up. Ed Boyles already almost a second back of Chris Spear, which means he's only about a second in front of Kenny Coppola. He's just, really, I'm struggling with that one tonight. But this is really putting him, this looked like his championship to lose. Now it looks like it might be, we're seeing a nice little battle shaping up here. I think we're going to see this championship decided in the next couple laps.
And this is going to be the battle for the championship right now between Ed Boyles Jr. and Kenny Coppola. Kenny Coppola rocketing down on that bottom side of the racetrack, all the way down to the white line. He is there. He's to the back bumper now of the number 5 of Ed Boyles Jr. He's up to the door. All he needs to do, he's going to have a little bit of an advantage here coming into turn number 3, and you can see just how fast that 77 car is, but he's very, very strong on corner exit, and we might see that here. We're going to see if he can try and complete the pass, and he does. He's going to slide on up in front of the number 5 car. 10 laps to go. Check that, 11 laps to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Kenny Coppola, new second-place driver, trying to set his sights now on the leader, his teammate, Chris Spear. But right now, he needs to focus on that 5 car. Needs to keep that 5 in his rearview mirror. Make sure he stays behind him so he can hold on to that championship trophy here at the end of the night with 10 laps to go as we cross the stripe. 77 and the 5 are there. Douthwaite, 14 seconds back in the lead. Bowen back there with him. Those drivers working back there right outside the top 5. Douthwaite in 5th, Bowen in 6th, having solid runs, but not as strong as they need to be here at Homestead. 10 laps to go. Chris Spear up front, his teammate and championship contender Kenny Coppola running in second, and you can see now Coppola starting to crank that wick up just a little bit. He's driving away from the 5, and he's driving a little bit closer to that 7.
Absolutely, and a lot of credit to Jameson Middlemiss, who's having a decent run tonight in 7th. Got right out of the way at that battle, let the points leaders settle it out. But boy, Coppola's just running away now. I mean, he's starting to build that advantage back up. Why do you want to leave any room for Ed Boyles to catch you at this point? You're going to give that car everything you've got. And he's even closing in on Chris Spear in the lead.
Now down to 0.6 of a second lead between Chris Spear and Kenny Coppola, and these drivers do know that they've got less than 10 laps to try and get themselves a victory. 5 wins on the season for the 77 car. Spear has a couple of wins himself, and Coppola wants to be able to support his teammate, wants to maybe let him win the $150. Not let him win, but would be happy to see his teammate win the $130 Bounty Hunter Challenge. But Kenny Coppola wants to steal the spotlight. He wants all the spotlights on himself. He wants to come home with the victory. He wants to win this championship, and he wants to go home with that trophy. Spear coming down pit road, it looks like, in the number 7 car. Going to give up that lead. Nope, just off the pace a little bit. Chris Spear loses.
Dropped off the banking, let his teammate by for the lead. That's kind of a shocker.
Yeah, that is a big-time shocker. So Kenny Coppola back out to the lead, 3 seconds over 3rd place. Ed Boyles Jr., the 2nd place in the championship's point standings. I got to wonder what that was. Was that a teammate move saying, hey, here you go, here's the lead, or did Spear drop back to try and save fuel? Ken Ellert, the 23 car, down on pit road.
Yeah, it's going to be close. And, if you've had these drivers pushing with 6 laps to go at this point, if you're not coming in, you're probably committed to the finish here.
So this is going to be big. Lots of different storylines going on all the way around this racetrack. Fuel mileage now coming into play. Do these drivers have enough to get to the finish line? Do they have enough for the green-white checkered attempt if that comes down to it? We've seen a clean race so far, only 2 cautions all night long, both single-car incidents. And Kenny Coppola out front now, 1.6 seconds lead over his teammate. Spear dropping back just a little bit, but Coppola holding pace with that third-place driver, the other championship contender that has a potential to win here. 3 seconds on back with 6 laps to go. 5 laps to go. High five from the flag man once they cross the stripe this time by. Do we have enough fuel to make 5 laps here at Homestead, Miami?
Kenny Coppola is driving like he's got enough fuel. That's the part that concerns me. I mean, he's not in conservation mode right now. Either that or the 7 and the 5 are in absolute conservation mode here, because neither one of them can even keep pace at 77. He actually found that late sessions spike there, and he's just driven off.
I don't think conservation mode is in Kenny Coppola's vocabulary, if I'm being completely honest. He is all go all the time, and it's shown here in season 2, and it shows here with 5 laps to go in the championship season. All he's got to do is lead these next 5 laps, and he's going to be walking away with that championship. He's got his teammate there in second, starting to close in just a little bit. 4 laps to go, crossing the stripe. Drew Maffitt down on pit road, as well as the 62 of Tim Ingram. A couple of drivers coming down knowing they don't have enough fuel to make it to the finish here. This is an opportunity for some of the drivers that are a little bit further on back. How about the Dave Douthwaites or the Wayne Bowen? What if those guys have been saving enough fuel? Could this championship season, could this championship trophy come down to a fuel mileage race? We're focusing in now on the 77. Coming out of turn number 3, going to cross the stripe. 3 laps to go until we crown ourselves the series champion here with the Lugz Cup Series at Homestead.
And Ed Boyles sitting back there in third, just kind of waiting to see what happens. He doesn't seem to be pushing the issue. He's not losing nearly as much ground as he was earlier. Just kind of settled into a rhythm there. We got David Douthwaite's just way back off the pace at this point. Wayne Bowen right behind him. Those two just kind of sitting there. They need a small miracle at this point in the closing laps to steal the championship.
Popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go on the season for Kenny Coppola. 1.5 seconds the gap between he and his teammate. There in second place, Chris Spear at Boyles Jr., championship contender. 3.5 seconds back in third. Jimmy Absher having a solid run in the top 5, holding on to fourth, and championship contenders Wayne Bowen and Dave Douthwaite in 6th and 5th, respectively. All they've got to do is see what happens here at this point. Coming around to the final lap, coming out of turn number 4, Kenny Coppola crossing the stripe. White flag, white rag. This is what you need. You need a perfect lap here as we come down to the close of the series championship of the season. 5 wins so far for Kenny Coppola. Can he make it 6th? He's got his teammate in behind him to help him out if he needs to, but he's a full 1.6 seconds on back. Going down the backstretch, less than half a lap, less than a mile to that championship trophy. One of the longest miles you're ever going to drive, especially in the virtual world. Rounding third, rounding fourth. He's coming on home with the Buffest swag. Kenny Coppola, the winner of the championship finale 200. Kenny Coppola, your Lugz Series champion.
It looks like Chris Spear will be second at the line. That's 1-2 for the Spire Motorsports teammates. We got Ed Boyles came across the line in third, your closest championship contender. Jimmy Absher fourth. David Douthwaite and Wayne Bowen 5th and 6th. A little ways back, about 13 seconds off the pace. But you see all those 4 championship drivers right in the top 6. The cream always does rise to the top in these races.
100%. Kenny Coppola coming home with the victory. Chris Spear in second. Ed Boyles, Jimmy Absher, and Dave Douthwaite rounding out the top 5. You can see the finishing order there on the left-hand side of your screen, and we are about to see one heck of a championship celebration, one heck of a win celebration here as well. And usually we wait for these drivers to come down pit lane, but we're not even going to do that because we know this cat is excited. Kenny Coppola, Lugz Series champion. Let's go, buddy. Great race. Congratulations. Dominating here at Homestead. Talk to us. What's going through your mind, brother?
Oh, my God. I'm speechless right now, man. I knew all week I had a very, very strong car. It was gonna tough to beat me. It didn't matter short run, long run. This thing was just dialed in, man.
Now
It
you got
came down to fuel mileage. I actually just ran out right there doing my burnout, man. My teammate back there pushing me. But
that That right
jeez,
there is
dude.
good stuff, man. Awesome, awesome victory here. You've been great all season long, especially with that second half of the season. I think this is the first time we've seen a car do a Polish victory lap without gas. So that's a good teammate right there with
Heck
Chris Spear,
yeah.
man.
That's my buddy. That's a brother to me right there. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I spun out coming out of the pits, and my whole team told me, keep your cool, man. You got the car to get back. I think Ed had me 6 seconds or something, but he pit a lap earlier than I did and couldn't save enough fuel.
Kenny, I'm just gonna push you around for this Alan Quickie lap.
Chris Spear jumping in on the radio, and Chris, we'll talk to you as you finish second here, man. We're not done with Kenny, but Chris, great run here tonight, finishing second. Came close to coming home with that bounty hunter challenge, but how cool is it to push your teammate? How cool is it to push the champion around with the Colwicki victory lap?
Looks like Chris actually dropped out of the live mic here.
He did. We'll get him back.
Oh, we got him back.
We got him back. Chris, what's going through your head? We're not done with Kenny yet, but man, oh man, finishing second to your teammate, finishing second to that champion, and being able to have at least a half a gallon of gas left. We're gonna see if we can get all the way around this racetrack.
Well, first things first. The only reason Kenny was able to get around, as he knows, is my wheel disconnected in the middle of the corner. Because I wanted that bounty. The deal was we were racing for it, and I told him he could get to me, but he wasn't going to pass me because I wanted that $130.
100%. And Kenny, man, it's been an awesome season. You came home, you swept the round of 12, won all 3 races. You've got 6 races here on the season, and Jeff and I here in the booth have kind of talked about midway through the race, man. You're still early on in your sim racing career. 2 years in, you've already got a championship under your belt, and it was a hard fought championship. The drivers in this Lugz series, second to none, especially here once everybody kind of gets used to their racing styles against each other. The teamwork that's involved, the camaraderie, the competition. This championship is no joke, and for you to come home on top with 6 wins on the season, what does that feel like, man? 7 wins on the season. How about that?
7 wins. 777, man. My lucky number.
What
a way to finish it. And you're 100% right, man. This league is filled with some very, very good competitive drivers. And to take a championship at a level like this is definitely a huge stepping stone in my iRacing career. I just got on board with Premier Setup Shops. To bring them a championship is awesome. All my other sponsors is awesome, and Wayne's been kicking our ass the last couple of weeks. I knew I had to go out this week and put together something special to compete with that, man, and well, I think I led about 100 laps tonight and took home the championship. I'm just at a loss of words almost. I never thought I'd get this championship. My regular season wasn't the greatest, but come playoff time, I just started winning one after another.
Picking them up, putting them off, and we made it all the way around the racetrack backwards with a little bit of help from the teammate. And I want to give you the opportunity here, Kenny. Man, there's a lot of people. You just listed off a bunch of them, teammates, families, friends. Who else makes it happen for you? Who gets his virtual 77 car to and from victory lane for the 7th time of the season?
I want to thank Premier Setup Shops. The guys helping me out with this setup and everything. I put a lot of laps in on it. Definitely Sim Speed Shop, JNR Aquatics. I brought Warrior Racing, a championship on the asphalt side, Warrior Wraps. Pointer, we got Butt Kicker, Bream Bugs, Pulse Poppers, just everybody that makes this happen. I especially want to thank my wife, let me do this week in and week out. I spend a lot of time on here. Probably a little bit more time than I should, being married with 4 kids, but we still make everything work out awesome, and she's really the reason why I'm here.
100%, man. Well, now you got a trophy to show for it. You got 7 wins on the season, and we look forward to seeing this 77 car in Season 3. You know, we got some rumblings about what's going on, and I'm sure we'll hear about that on Facebook. But, man, another phenomenal race, another phenomenal win, and a championship trophy for your efforts, brother. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. One more thing. I just want to thank my teammates, the Alliance. Love those guys like brothers. I want to thank the admins for putting this lead together, all the drivers. It was a heck of a season. Great job, fellas. 100%. I want to thank you as well, Paul.
Absolutely, man. It's always great to hear it, and always great to be able to support fellow sim racers here. And man, congratulations! It's been fun to watch you all season long, and really able to turn that wick up. I look forward to Season 3. You got to come home with another Daytona win.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring another championship home.
100%. And we got Chris Spears still hanging out here. We heard from him briefly here, jumping on in, finishing second. Great race in the 7 car. Almost had it, and we heard the wheel came unplugged. How about that?
Yeah, that's not any fun at all. I'm just thankful we were able to get it to shove back in there. This CSLDD has done this twice in the last 7 days, and really, unfortunately, happened during our this race here tonight. But Kenny had the car to beat, and I told him that if he caught me, he was going to have to pass me, and I was not going to make it easy for him. That bounty was a pretty nice chunk of change, and I certainly wanted it.
Yeah, 100%. Jeff and I here in the booth talked about that. Getting into the later stages of the race, Chris Spear up in the front, Kenny Coppola in second. Coppola racing for that championship, but Spear racing for a payday. Was there any kind of team orders or anything like that? But right away, the answer is no. Both you guys very competitive, wanting to come home with another win in that W column, and came up just a little bit short. Had a fast car, but a little bit of a hardware failure, just like in real racing. Things happen, unfortunately, but still a solid run. Spire Motorsports 1-2, right in behind your championship teammate, and finishing second. No slouch for sure.
Not at all. I mean, Kenny would have won this race if we didn't have that caution, flat out. I mean, he had that, I believe it was 8.5 second lead when that caution came out. There's no way to catch that guy at that point. I mean, he was gone. And then at that point, it became about strategy and figuring out how to make it. And we'd played around in practice. We'd been able to make it 30 laps, but nothing more than that. So I decided that it was worth giving up the spots there early on and go 32 laps. And that's really what set up the strategy to even go for the win here. I had nothing for Kenny.
Yeah, and a fast teammate, fast car in that 77, but still fast in the 7 car as well. We've seen you compete up towards the front and won a couple of races this season here, and we set our sights now on Season 3. Haven't seen anything officially released yet, but I'm sure we'll have ourselves a Season 3 here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series. What are you looking forward to in the future?
Oh, really getting into the endurance things. Joined Warrior Racing a couple of months back, and we started an endurance team, funnily enough, with teammate Kenny and a couple other guys in our in the league here. We just wanted to go out and start doing some more team-like events. That's one good thing about this league. A lot of our guys, we've really made a lot of good bonds with our teammates, and we race not just this series, but pretty much anything we can figure out a way to race with each other and make it that much more exciting.
Yeah, and teammates and teams, a big thing here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series, and that's been something that's been fun to follow over the past 2 seasons, is all the different teams working with different setups, different drivers, different styles, and we've really seen a lot of these teams gel over the past 2 years, especially here in Season 2, and we've had a couple more races, a full season's full of races here under our belt. So it's been great to kind of watch things grow here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series, and it's great to see you finish second here, a little bit outside the championship contention, but hey, better luck next season, right?
Absolutely, bringing home 6s in points, I believe, unofficially, which would be awesome. But yeah, I got to take a moment to thank my sponsors. First one going to be Warrior Racing, Warrior Wraps. Really thankful to be a part of that group. No Sweat, Pulse Poppers, Butt Kicker, Bream Bugs, CS Racing, Polynor, Blues Diecast, Track Bar Media, Sims Speed Shop. I believe that's all of them. Didn't want to leave anyone out. Got to thank Kenny. Got to thank Spire Esports, my teammates Jameson, Dave, Tim, all the other ones, Preston watching at home. Just a lot of support in the series, and looking forward to whatever's next. I also need to thank my girlfriend. Oh my goodness, she would kill me if I didn't. She gives me a lot of time and flexibility to be here and actually race with these guys. I mean, I'm on here 4 or 5 nights a week sometimes, and that's a lot. So I'm certainly thankful for her, and hope she knows how much I appreciate her.
And speaking of supporting the league, one of the league officials here in the Lugz Cup Series, looking forward to Season 3. How do these folks get in touch with Lugz Cup Series as far as sponsorships and advertising partnerships and anything like that? How do we get in touch with Lugz?
Well, the easiest thing to do is just find our Facebook page, Lugz Racing, and that goes directly to the admins, and that will help out tremendously. Just get you directly in contact with them, and they'll reach out pretty promptly because we're excited for what's coming next, and we'd love to have a good group of support from sponsors and from fans as well.
100%. And a great season, finishing 6th on the season, 2nd here tonight, and you got a little championship party to go to in the Spire Motorsports camp. So going to be one heck of a night, I'm sure, here in Homestead. Congratulations, though. Great season, great run here tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Paul.
And a little bit further on pit road, I think he's finally done pushing that thing down to his pit stall. Jeff, you've caught up with our 3rd place finisher, championship contender, Ed Boyles Jr.
I have, Ed, and you kind of came in as maybe the dark horse pick. You didn't pick up a win in that last segment there, but you were definitely poised at the end. Looked like you almost had an opportunity to steal the championship tonight. Can you describe what your thoughts were on that last green flag stint?
Yeah, that last green flag stint. I saw Kenny had some problems on pit road. I gained like 9 seconds on him, and I passed him. Not really sure what happened with him on pit road, but he had the car to beat, man. He was just so fast. Tonight I didn't really have much for him, but just trying to, I figured use some strategy, get in there with the fuel, and I saw him have an issue, and I said, maybe, with the fuel wise, I would be okay, but I had to save too much because I pitted 1 lap shorter than him, and he was just so fast.
At what point do you kind of switch, though, that, you're battling with the conflicting feelings of trying to race for that championship and realizing that you need to make it to just make it to the finish? At what point do you switch gears to that conservation mode that you're willing to, I guess we got to take second, but at least we take second?
Yeah, with about 15 laps left, I knew I was going to be right on the cusp, so I started to, that was when I was able to go, but my go was just not as close to what Kenny's go was. So, I figured I was able to hold. 2nd place pays just a hell of a lot better than 4th in the points. So I figure if I could salvage 2nd, I'll take 2nd. And speaking of underdog, it's crazy to go into the final race as being the underdog and having 20 top 10 finishes this year. But it's been just didn't get those wins. I've been right there. Just didn't fall my way.
Oh, it's absolutely a struggle, and it looks like you stitched together a great season in the end. You came home 2nd overall in points. What are your plans for next year? Is it still next season rather? Or is it too early to say?
Well, as of right now, the biggest plan is to continue running on the endurance. I ran a Daytona 24 this week. Has been a great week of sim racing. Ran in my first Daytona 24. We came in 13th position with David Douthwaite, another championship contender, Josh Nolan, and Mike Miller, a couple guys from the league. We did pretty good there. Won the truck championship this week, and then came in 2nd here. So it's been a good week of sim racing. Been a blast. Love racing with all these guys. It's a lot of fun. It's just been a good year overall.
Great to hear. Obviously, a lot of people get you to the track. We racers can never do it alone. Who do you have to thank tonight? Who gets you to the track week in, week out?
Number one is always my wife. She takes care of my little girls. They wait for me at night to race here, get these races done, and she's definitely the rock. taking care of the kids. It's pretty hard while I'm doing this, and my little girl Tegan, she loves to come up here and sit on my lap and race and do a little racing before the race. So that's always fun. My sponsors, Butt Kicker, we got CS Racing. They're great, always helping out. Secret Simulation, I did the Daytona 24 with them. That was a good experience. Just you guys at Verdane for sponsoring or coming in with the league and doing the broadcast, and there's so many. It's such a blast. I don't have a sponsorship with any setup shops, but the only one I choose is unfortunately the one that Kenny's sponsored by, and with Premier Setups. I always used Rocket, so they've always been fast for me, and that's who I like to use, even though I'm not a sponsored driver. So, but that's where I go for my stuff. So they're always been fast, and it's nice to have them out there.
Great. Solid run for you tonight. Solid run for the season, Ed. Thank you very much. Paul, looks like we're back to you.
Yeah, and we're putting a cap on the season here, season 2 for the Lugz Cup Series driver. Putting on one hell of a show here for us these past couple of months here on Wednesday nights. We look forward to hearing about the Season 3 news, and be sure you reach out to these guys on Facebook, facebook.com/Lugz Racing. Gets right into the admin team of the race officials and talk to them about sponsorship. There's lots of different ways you can get your brand, your logo out there in the sim racing world, and you got to figure race fans are the most brand loyal fans in the sports world, and sim racing is right in behind them because we like to support those that support us. Got to give a shout out to Butt Kicker, CS Racing, Secret Simulations for jumping on board here the 2022 season with the Lugz Cup Series. Lots of stuff gone through the past season, the past 2 seasons. We've got ourselves a champion in Kenny Coppola after winning 7 times in this season. So phenomenal effort for that Spire Motorsports number 77 crew. And you heard team building exercises all season long. Really looking forward to what these guys can do coming up on season 3. We'll have all that information and more on the Facebook page. Thank you so much for tuning in here tonight on all the social media outlets, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share, let your friends and family know you've been watching some entertaining iRacing action live right here on Verdane TV. But for myself, Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr., for Jeff Brown for jumping on the booth here the past month or so with the Lugz Cup Series, and everybody here at Verdane TV, we will catch you on the flip side. When we do, we are going to be doing it live.